Hello and welcome back to the Tongue of the Trees channel. I'm Elizabeth Ashley, the Secret Healer. This video is, what is rose essential oil good for? Now, I have to tell you, there's a few more videos that I can link you to that I've done in the past. And if you have a look at the description below, you'll be able to go to those. So you get a really full and rounded look at what rose medicine is all about. Also, I have written a book called Rose Goddess Medicine, which you can find on Amazon. And actually, if you're Hungarian, Gergely Helodi, my partner in the Tongue of the Trees cards, has translated it into Hungarian too. So you are in luck. There is lots to see about rose. I have to say, it's not a very rosy day to do this. We are in March and there's no roses out. But yeah, when it comes to video 2, when we talk about the emotional, mental and spiritual aspects of rose, I'm going to take a slightly different slant to what I would normally do. So it'll be a different video for anybody who's watched it before. We're going to talk about the feelings of the negative side of rose. Rose is Venus. So we're talking about Venus retrograde and what that means for using essential oils. But that is in video 2, when we talk more about the card and how rose interacts with love. Physical medicine though. Well, most importantly, I think that we say it's the woman's medicine. It's very gynecologically based. For good and bad. So what that means is if you are pregnant, we say right away from it. And the reason for that is because it is a uterine tonic and a uterine stimulant. So if we imagine then we're trying to get pregnant, we want to get pregnant and things are just not going quite right, then rose is a tremendous oil to be able to bring the hormones back into alignment and be able to make the body start working better. Imagine that we are putting our womb through a tremendous workout. You know, she's going on a diet, she's lifting weights and she's getting properly toned. That is the action of rose. And so what that means from a fertility point of view is we have this beautiful fertile space for the egg and the sperm to implant into and to be able to grow a placenta and hopefully amniotic sac with baby inside. When it comes to later on in the pregnancy, we have a strong womb to be able to support the baby growing. And, you know, it's done the heavy lifting. It's nice and toned and really well structured to be able to support the weight of the baby, which obviously is not that much until you think that it's extra to what it's used to carrying. And bear in mind all the extra blood flow that's going through it too. When it comes to labour, we want this tremendous strength of contraction, don't we? And so in itself, the rose tones the uterus to be able to do that. If we're short at the last minute and we need to add more strength to the contraction, we can do that using things like myrrh or jasmine, which are the reasons why we don't use those either. So on all of those, we would say we do not use until 37 weeks of pregnancy have passed. Same applies for rose. I would imagine that everybody understands that rose is magnificent for the skin. I guess I sound very boastful when I say that I am probably the picture book for the poster girl for rose, but at nearly 50 with flawless skin. And it is very much the English rose skin, you know, pale skin, rosy cheeks. It is all rose. It's all rose and a bit of a lovely happy marriage too. And that's very much rose medicine, isn't it? So it feeds the skin. And it's interesting actually. People say moisturises the skin. Not possible. Nourishes the skin is better. to say. And if we look at the science, we can see that if you use rose, what happens is the constituents go through the skin down to the very, very base layer, the granular layer, where the new skin cells are developing, called keratinocytes. And keratinocytes become plumper and fatter and juicier, and obviously generate faster. And so if we do lots of exfoliation, and again we could use rose with something like hazelnut oil or maybe wheat germ oil, anything that's slightly abrasive to take the old skin cells off, what's revealed underneath is this beautiful, plump, healthy skin layer. And that is the magic of rose. It's aphrodisiac, obviously, ruled by Venus. It's going to be, isn't it? We don't need to discuss that too much, do we? We can see how that would be related to love. On the other side, couldn't have gone a worse segue, Liz. It's laxative. So yeah, if you're using plenty of rose, know that you probably don't need quite so much bran in your diet. It will eventually go to the digestive system and to start things relaxing. It is very, very relaxing. It's very nourishing to the skin, but also to the spirit, nurturing to the spirit, which is why we would use it in grief, in depression. Those obviously come in the next video, in the mind, body, spirit, but obviously the nature of mind, body, medicine is they are inextricably linked. If somebody dies, how are we going to look good? We're not, are we? Well, the grief drains all of the goodness out of the skin. We look pale and drawn and grey, don't we? So to get that rosy pallor back, that's rose medicine too. And if we think much wider, we think of all how beautiful the rose is for the skin generally, you know, as we get older and we start to get wrinkles between the boobs and all of that love, delightfulness, then that's all rose medicine too, you know. It's all about adding that kind of, it's not estrogenic, it's not an estrogenic oil, it doesn't even mimic estrogen, like for example clary sage would, but it does have the nature of estrogen, that we become plump, become fertile, we become, you know, ovulation, you know. If you think about some of the imageries of Aphrodite, of Venus, she's very much a bird. You might see her in her swan element. You might see her in her dove element, you know, Aphrodite's dove, or even just sparrows. But this feeling of there's an egg, and the egg has two births, you know. So we have so in ovulation we have the egg first drops from the ovaries down into wherever, through the fallopian tubes. Where does it go? I don't know. Into uterus, maybe. I don't think it does, but anyway, it's been born into that space and then gets fertilized, and then we have this second birth. Very shamanic thing, that idea of two births, always connected with birds and eggs, and this idea of what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did the rose come first, or the association with Aphrodite and Venus? Always been there, right back to, I think the earliest image that I found when I was doing the Rose book was of the goddess Inanna, and I think it dates back to the 7th century BC. Extraordinary amounts of time. There is a lovely saying that comes from shamanism that says, before the myth, there was the myth. And that kind of equates to the St. John's, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You know, this idea that these animal imageries, this energy that moves, way before the dawn of time, it was already speaking, way before humans came along. And definitely you can see that with Venus medicine and rose medicine in particular. So just a quick overview again. So it's I didn't really say it actually. Eases menstrual pain, definitely. Mix it with things like clary sage, lavender. If you go on to buy the recipe hub, which is, I do 10 recipes with each oil every week. So there's 10 recipes going in about rose, but there's oodles in there already for menstrual pain. And yeah, this idea of clary sage, lavender, rose, geranium, that blend comes up over and over again. It's a classic timeless blend. So menstrual pain, it helps labour, as we've talked about, and that's why we don't use it in pregnancy. We can use it in terms of getting ourselves ready to be pregnant, and I'll come back to that in a minute. It feeds the skin, it's aphrodisiac, it's laxative. I don't think that's on the slide, I can't remember writing it. It's nourishing and nurturing, and it encourages grief to recede. And we'll talk more about, as I say, the emotional, mental and spiritual aspects later. But I just want to make a quick comment about getting our bodies ready for pregnancy. As I say, there are links to other videos below of other videos I've made, and in particular there are quite a lot of videos about using rose to get ready to try and get pregnant. But as a quick recap here, I think we have a kind of a possible impossible situation if we're not careful. We're going to be trying to tone the uterus to get better. We're going to be having sex, and then we are going to try and get pregnant and immediately have in our system an oil which will say, oh, let's dispel. You cannot do that. If you are actively having fertility treatment or you are trying to have a baby, you need to be disciplined and organised about how you do it. You need to put a period aside, excuse my pun, I didn't mean to pun, period. A period aside where you use the oils and you get your body right. Probably use contraceptive for that period of time. And then when you're ready, come off oils like rose. Come off all of those real strong uterine tonics like jasmine, like myrrh, that have been so good for really doing the heavy lifting, but we don't want them when you're trying to conceive. So put that period aside where you use the oils, and then stop using them. And then condoms off, girls. So there we have it. That is what is rose essential oil good for the physical body. In the next video, see the link below to video 2, and it will be on my blog site, by the way. It'll probably be a link that says The Secret Healer Writes, and it'll take you to the right page, because Gagley does all the hard work and puts all of these things together. And we will talk about love, but also Venus retrograde and how that can affect the spirit, and how rose can be extremely useful to sort those situations out. So, what is rose essential oil good for? Pretty much everything. See you on the other side.
You get your phone, you turn it this way up, and then there's a little red subscribe button. Turn it grey by clicking it, and then there's a little bell. Click that and press all at the bottom of your phone or tablet or computer. It'll say you will receive all notifications, and then there's a little hand with a thumbs up. Click that, it'll turn it blue and it says added to your liked videos, and there will be comments, and if you want to you can send a comment and say like hi's to Mum and Gagley, and then the link to the next video will be in the description below underneath the video. So bye.